Hello, I'm Lorraine from Wagglewoods, and I'm in a beautiful place in Northern Ireland in County Tyrone at the Flax Mill Centre, where there's a really exciting education project going on that's opened up some bogland and woodlands to the community groups, school groups, and lots of different types of people. The Community Association, Drumduff and Drumnaquilly Community Association, has been very lucky to be working with Julie Corrie, who's with me today, who is the Biodiversity Officer for Omagh District Council. Hi Julie, good to see you. So Julie, this big word biodiversity, I find it a bit confusing. What does it mean?
Well, it basically means all life on Earth. So broken down, it actually means biological diversity, but put together, biodiversity is the word we use now. So it conjures up images of nature, wildlife, habitats and species, but really the crux of it is it's all of those things together and how they depend on each other. So by using the word biodiversity, we're really bringing across, you know, a fuller meaning to wildlife, how we interact with it and how humans impact on biodiversity.
Okay, so for example in the woodland, it might be the woodland that we've got here at Drumduff and Drumnaquilly, it might be all the plants and animals.
Yes, exactly.
And how they live together.
It's the habitat, it's the relationships between them, the communities that are there, and then how we impact on that as well.
Okay.
And it's not just the different species, it's the genetic variety between species as well. Just as you're different to me, one blue tit's different to another blue tit. So it's about conserving our variety of life.
That's an excellent description, thank you, because it's a complex word, particularly for children to understand. Okay, so you're the Biodiversity Officer, so what sort of things do you do, Julie, in the council?
Well, my job is very varied, but the main crux of my job is to coordinate the local Biodiversity Action Plan, or we call it the LBAP for short. And it's a plan, it has come from the Northern Ireland Biodiversity Strategy. The aim is really to get biodiversity action on the ground at the local level. So by working through local councils, we work with a variety of groups, from local community groups like Drumduff and Drumnaquilly here, to school groups, to individuals, anyone really who's interested in doing something positive for biodiversity. So I am there as a go-between, I suppose, and help them either secure funding to do projects, to give them advice on how to improve their own gardens for wildlife. And also a key role is working within the council to make sure that all the council actions and the council estate is keeping up with the biodiversity duty that's just been introduced into Northern Ireland.
And so you'll be looking at specific habitats or areas like woodlands and boglands? Yes,
exactly. Whenever I start in the post, the first thing you should do as Biodiversity Officer is look at your area and see what's important. So for the Omagh area, the bogland was up there at the top. With bogland being so few and far between now, Omagh and County Tyrone is a very important area for bog. So aside from bogland, we are focusing on lakes, ponds, woodlands, farmlands, very important, and not forgetting urban green space, because people's back gardens are just as important in biodiversity as our farmland is.
Absolutely. And things like, do you look at individual species as well that are important to Omagh?
We have selected some flagship species really to try and flag up important habitats. So for example, for bog, you know, we're focusing in on sundew and bogbean as characteristic species of the bog, plants that grow there. They're really interesting and can grab people's attention. But likewise, we are looking at species like the cuckoo, an iconic species that seems to be in decline, and by using the cuckoo to get people interested in recording birds, we're engaging with a lot more people.
Excellent. So you've been working now with Drumduff and Drumnaquilly Community Association to help them develop this environmental education project, which will allow access and encourage access to school groups and community groups and the wider public. So what sort of things have you been doing, Julie?
Well, as Kathleen said earlier, it all started with the Breathing Places campaign. I remember actually meeting Joe McCartney for the first time at a seminar where they were interested in applying for the funding, and thankfully they received the funding at the time. We started the project off by putting a boardwalk and a walkway through the existing bog and wood that's out there. But then as the project developed, we've seen a need to bring it further and bring it bigger. So working with the community group that Kathleen and Joe, we've applied for and secured funding to extend the project and extend the boardwalk. And the beauty of the project is it's now coming to fruition, and now we're developing this education programme. So from my perspective, this project in Dundalk and Dunmakilly is excellent because it's looking at bogland, it's looking at woodland, and it's looking at some of these flagship species like the sundew, and it's really bringing it to life. So there's somewhere where local people can go, if it's at a weekend, just even to have a walk, read the information panels and learn that bit more about bog. Or it's for skill groups to come along and really learn about bogland in detail and have it linked to their curriculum, so they can grow up and learn about bog. It's on their doorstep.
Excellent. And are you able to work with other community groups?
Yeah, I work with many community groups. One of the other projects I'm working on at the minute is in Loughnacrory, not too far from here, called Loughnacrory Alive. So the community group there are very fortunate to be on living right beside the loch called Loughnacrory, which just recently been designated an area of special scientific interest because of the plants that grow in the water. But the community group over the last number of years have developed a walkway around it and are really keen to do more there. So over this last year we've been developing events to enhance people's knowledge of wildlife that live in the loch. We've been doing practical actions like removing invasive species such as laurel to enhance the space for wildlife, and we're bringing this to the end now soon with a tree planting event where we're going to try and enhance the wildlife value of the loch.
Excellent, and you've been raising the understanding and knowledge about hedgerows as well.
That's right. Another project I've been working on is called the Omagh Heritage Initiative, or Hedgerow Heroes for short. And that was another project funded by the Heritage Lottery Fund that through the council we received funding in 2009. It came to fruition last year where 5 local community groups, including Dundalk and Dunmakilly, took part in a comprehensive programme of training. So they learnt how to plant hedgerows, how to manage them and how to lay them. And we also had some hedgerow identification courses. And the end game really was that every community group who participated received free hedgerow packs to plant their own hedgerows on site. So this site now is bounded by a lovely native hedgerow.
Excellent. So this has been a great example of working with the council via yourself and community group working together and seeing a lot achieved really, not only for biodiversity for wildlife but for people and lots of different people and different types of groups who might like to come here.
That's right.
And just raising the whole profile and awareness and understanding of biodiversity within Omagh and Tyrone.
That's right. It's all about getting that word biodiversity out. As you say, it's a difficult word to comprehend. So the more projects we have and the more people using the word biodiversity every day, the more it'll become the norm.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Julie.
Thank you.